Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Josh. I'm an associate advisor within Stuart White's team here at Coglan's, and we're just going through a little bit of an experiment here today to try and deliver advice in a bit of more engaging manner, just on the topic of the demerger of Coles from Wesfarmers. So I'll just start a little share screen here for everyone now and take you through it. Okay. Here we go. So, the demerger of Coles from Wesfarmers. By now you probably, or you at least should have received information packs on the demerger in the mail. If you haven't, there's a bit of an overview, and give us a call if you've got any questions. So, the what and why, the demerger. So, as I've said, Wesfarmers management's seeking to split off the Coles Group from the broader Wesfarmers Group. So that's to include three divisions, being supermarkets, liquor, and convenience stores. And the proposed demerger will have Coles Group become a separate listing on the ASX. So you'll essentially, for every Wesfarmers share that you have, you'll receive one share in the new Coles Group. Why is Wesfarmers doing this? It's essentially to focus the management team of the two arms. There's quite a number of different business lines within Wesfarmers presently, and in two broad buckets, they behave throughout economic cycles quite differently. Wesfarmers is looking to retain their mining, agricultural products, and Bunnings, and all of those businesses fall into the broad category of cyclical businesses. So they do really well when the economy's on the up, and they might just slow down a bit when economies are cooling off, or heaven forbid, we see a recession come around. I'm sure people either holding mining stocks or have seen in the news over the last decade or so, mining, for instance, really hot a few years, and we've been seeing it cool off, and they start to pay more dividends and so forth, and now they seem to be back on the up again. And what Wesfarmers is looking to demerge, the Coles Group, they all really fall into what's called consumer staples or defensive stocks. Even supermarkets, even if we're going through a recession, everybody's still buying their bread, milk, fruit, veg. Everybody's got to eat. Everybody needs toilet paper regardless of what's going on in the economy. So those businesses tend to just keep ticking along. And so they're quite distinct from the rest of Wesfarmers. And so again, the logic being that these two groups behave quite differently, they're seeing sense in having two very distinct management groups, and it allows Wesfarmers to focus its attention on businesses that it sees as being high return on equity ventures within the existing mining, ag, Bunnings operations. So there's the why. Now, what does it mean for everybody holding Wesfarmers shares? So Wesfarmers is seeking a determination from the ATO to clarify exactly what the position will be on the shares. The outcome that they're seeking, and it is the most likely outcome, is that it won't be a capital gains tax event. You won't therefore have any capital gains tax in your next tax return. It's just really shifting some of whatever the cost was that you paid for Wesfarmers from within the Wesfarmers shares and a little bit over to the new Coles shares. So just a simple example I've got here. If your Wesfarmers shares were $30 when you bought them, and Coles is looking at listing it at $10 here, then they'll just shift $10 of what you paid for Wesfarmers to be allocated as cost of Coles, and the Cost base going forward for your Wesfarmers shares will be $20. Just as I've said here in yellow, just a caveat on that. Wesfarmers since 1998 has progressively returned little bits of capital to shareholders, sort of like a dividend, except it wasn't income. That has gradually reduced cost base of Wesfarmers shares for those people that have held the shares for that long. There's been a couple more in 2011, 2013 and so forth. So this is a very simplistic example. You may find, yes, I bought these for $30 back in 98, but now my cost is running more like $25. That's all a little bit of capital gains tax jargon. If you want to know more, I'd really encourage you to speak to your accountant. Just a little timeline here. So that the shareholder vote as to whether or not to go ahead with this demerger is on the 15th of November at 4 p.m. The 21st of November is when Wesfarmers expects to be trading, with Coles now demerged from the group. So Coles trading and Wesfarmers. And you should just note it's actually a day before. There's what's called a small share sale facility for Coles shares. So generally, if you had a fairly small number of Wesfarmers shares to begin with, you might find yourself with only a few $100s of Coles shares. There's a share sale facility that's been opened with no brokerage fees required, like you would with selling shares ordinarily on the stock exchange. Just a note there in red that for our wrap investors, most of you are with us on BT wrap. The date will be a little bit earlier. That's sort of to be determined at this stage. So give us a call if that's something you're looking to participate in. And as I was mentioning earlier, Wesfarmers has approached the ATO for confirmation of what the tax treatment will be of the demerger, but we haven't got a date on that yet. That's still to be determined. Okay, so what do we think you should do? So vote yes to the demerger. We've spoken to our research group. They've consulted with our research consultants, Morningstar, as well, and everybody's of the opinion that the demerger should go ahead, or at least there's no reason to be not going ahead. And as I mentioned there, the small share sale facility, really, whether or not you should be participating, that's a bit of a case-by-case basis. Feel free to make your own minds up about participating in that if you wish, but certainly give us a call and we'll talk you through it if you're a little unsure on that front. And just a reminder that if you do participate in that, there's no brokerage cost. So if your $100 of Coles, if that was the amount, it's not getting $50 of it isn't getting eaten up in a stockbroking fee. And that's really all there is to it. That's the end of our presentation. Hopefully everyone's enjoyed a little bit of a different approach to our advice here. And just a reminder, phone number 9835 6000 if there's anything you want to talk about. Thanks everyone. Bye.